welcome to AssemblyTV studio. My name is Riina Nieminen and I will be hosting Fireside Chat today. Fireside Chat is a new program on AssemblyTV this year, and we are going to interview some of the seminar speakers, vloggers and streamers. Now here with me I have Kirsi Ihalainen as our guest. Welcome, Kirsi.
Thank you very much.
So, Kirsi, you are a sound artist and a designer. How do you usually start working on a new project?
Well, that totally depends on the project what I'm working on. But normally, whatever I'm doing, I always clear my desk first. That's something that I always, because I'm a really organized person, so I always clear and I clean my desk completely, and then I'm able to start working. But that's a really weird thing. I don't know, but that's normally what I do when I start working. But it always depends on the project, what I'm working on. So it might need some kind of thing that I need to, get some kind of inspiration. So I might go to somewhere or take part into some events or something that, that I get that inspiration.
Okay. And can you do then a lot of work at the same time if you have to always clear the desk or?
Well, that also depends on the project. But when I start a new project and then I leave the old one away, then I just clean the desk.
Okay.
But then when I'm in the middle of the project and then I'm working on something, then I have everything everywhere. It gets a bit messy, and so it might get a bit messy sometimes.
And you were talking about that you could go to get inspiration for some events or something. So what do you do first? Do you go to get your inspiration for some events that are going on, or do you Google some sound examples? Or
well, it depends again, what I'm working on, but mostly I get if there's a certain person that I'm working with, another artist or some kind of a project or a game or something, and I need to find those sounds, then I go sound hunting.
Okay.
And then that's what I call it, sound hunting. And I keep a blog called Sound Ventures, and that's when I'm going on sound hunting. And what it means that I take my gear and then I just go around and try to find those sounds that would bring me something that would relate to that project. So now that I'm working with nature sounds, so I go to the wilderness, to the nature, and then I post on my blog about those as a sound venture. So, example, I was in Kuusamo for a few weeks ago, and I was recording wild bears. So the wild bears were there in 10 meters there, and I was in this booth and I was recording them. So that was pretty awesome. So, but that's my sound hunting. so yeah, I usually post some photos and stuff on my blog about that.
Do you always have a recorder with you and you're walking everywhere with it and maybe bumped into people?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. And I see, I look a bit weird when I do that, and people come to me like, what are you doing? Are you nuts or something? What's that? Is that a decibel meter or something? And then I just, I'm recording. And then, So I was at rallies, the Jyväskylä rally race, and so I was there recording, and people are coming like, what's that? So yeah, every time I go somewhere, or I just record, because I never know where I'm going to use that sound afterwards. So I have a huge collection of sounds with me. So has there been something really weird sound coming from unexpected place, and you have been really into it, hours just recording it? There's some machines or air ventilation somewhere, and I'm like, what is that sound? Then I go and grab my recorder, and then I'm there and then always it's the same thing when I'm recording. I'm like, everybody just quiet. And then people are like, oh, she's recording again. So
all right.
It might be looking a little bit weird. But
so what is the most interesting part in your job for you when you're sound hunting or doing the design? Where do you get the kicks?
I get the kicks from that already. So that's really just well, I can tell you when the wild bear comes there, like in 10 meters, and then you're recording there, and then you're waiting, and then they start fighting, and you're like, oh my God, I got that sound. So that's just, that's the kick to me, you know, and or an eagle comes, and then, you know, I'm waiting for that eagle to come, and then it gives me the sound of, you know, so I'm like, wow, I got that. And those are just like, those are like unique moments that, and then I'm able to record those. It's just wild, you know. It's
this
really
is so
crazy.
unexpected that you're a sound designer and your job is that dangerous.
well, they could come there, but you know, yeah. So I've done a lot of crazy stuff, like walking in the deep snow with all my gear, like 30 kilos of gear with me, like microphones and stands, and then I'm walking in the snow. Like, oh, I need to record those eagles or something, you know. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Great.
So it's really, those are the moments, but also the moments after I've recorded, because I can't really hear everything that I'm recording, because I'm like basically recording all the time. So the recording is on all the time when I'm there. So there's tons of stuff, and when I go through them afterwards, and I'm like, wow, there's this sound. I didn't hear this when I was recording. So I get those surprises also afterwards. So that's really interesting. And then I'm like, wow, I got this. That's awesome. You know. So yeah.
And when did you know you wanted to be a sound artist?
Well, I didn't really know that, you know, at any point that I want to be a sound artist. It wasn't my dream job or anything like that. So I used to work, I've worked in several places. I worked in, well, what I did was I started with films, actually. So I was a film sound part of a film sound crew. So, and then also I was working at theater sound crew, and I was in TV and radio, and then I worked at Remedy for a while as well, the game company. So I've done a lot of different things. But then, you know, when I started working on my thesis, which was the speech was about my thesis, so that's somehow I got driven into this sound art thing, and it became so interesting that it kind of just swept me, like, you know, took me. And then I was like, oh, this is so cool, I want to do this. And but I'm like really open to many projects, like if there's a really interesting project coming up, so then I'm like, let's do this. And I always say nothing is impossible to me. Like if somebody says to me, okay, you can't do that with sound, then I'm like, oh yes, I can. You just wait and see. So because I make all this interactive stuff and things like that, so you know, I'm ready for a challenge every day. So.
Oh, okay.
So, but now I've just become a sound artist, so it just happened like that.
Yeah, you just like flowed to it.
Yeah, I tried many things, and then I'm in this point now.
And your installation have been accepted to the biggest art competition in the world, Art Prize. Congratulations!
Yes. Oh, thank you very much.
And actually, we have a short video about it.
Okay.
The same you were showing in your seminar, so we can watch it now.
Okay. The installation is made for 8 channels, so it has 8 pieces of wood. So there's 7 pieces of wood, like dead wood, kelo, and they are hanging from the ceiling. And then I have this huge stump also, which is part of it. So there's when I went to the forest and I recorded the sounds of the forest, so I chose the dominating frequencies from the forest. And those dominating frequencies are like each frequency range is put into one tree. But the trees and the pieces of wood are selected so that I have chosen the certain kind of piece of wood for certain frequency range, so that that wood resonates that frequency the best.
Okay.
Does it make any sense? So when it resonates that certain frequency the best, it starts to vibrate, and you can feel the vibrations because there's this actuator inside the wood, so it makes the wood as the speaker. So it adds it kind of adds the resonance of the wood to the sound as well. So when it's vibrating, you can hug it, and when you press your ear against the wood, you can hear the sound go through the wood, like. It's yeah, and when you have all of those 8 in a space, then it sounds like you're in the forest, because they are a bit different. And when it's based on the generative sound design that I gave my speech about, so the sound is always a little bit changing. So it's never like the same. So I have all these randomization and volume automation that I programmed into it, so that the forest breathes. So it's different all the time a little bit. And then I have all the Finnish animal sounds, like the bears and you know, different kind of birds and swans and everything. And then you can never tell where they come from, because it automatically, like, randomly selects the computerized system where it plays the sounds of those animals. So it's always a little bit different all the time. So you can never tell when you can hear an owl or something.
Wow! Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And where can we see it next?
Well, it will be in the US next, but after that it comes back to Finland, and then it will be in Kuusamo, because I have a collaborative exhibition with Olli Lamminsalo. He's a nature photographer, and then I will attach the installation with his photos, and there's going to be some other cool sound stuff as well. So, but I'm not going to tell, so if you are around in Kuusamo, just come by and have a listen. So that will be in January, starting from the beginning of January, so in 2017. So that will be then.
And how did you came up with the idea to this installation?
Well, that's quite a long story, actually. It started when I was at school, and there was going to be this World North Mandate seminar at the school, and they asked us students to create some kind of an installation that would have the theme of a Nordic and nature. So I was like, okay, so maybe I should think of something nature sounds, and then I was like, well, can I bring a forest to an inside space? How can I do that? And then that's where it started from, and I started to go to record the forest and bring those frequencies, and then work on with the actuators and bring the space of a forest into an inside space. So that's where it all became, and then it kind of developed in stages from there on. So it's a kind of long, many years of process, and now I'm also developing it again. So for the US, it won't sound the same as we heard on the video. So there will be more recordings on there, because I have spent now 1.5 years just to record all the wildlife more, and you know, reindeers and stuff like that, you know, a lot of birds and everything, all the like winter sounds and summer sounds and so on. So I have all different kinds of sounds. So I'm making it even more generative, so that I can add the times of the year and things like that, and more animals into it. So I'm really making it into a Finnish forest.
And has forest always been close to your heart, or how did you come up? You want to bring forest there?
Well, I've always liked nature, and it's something that I like. When I'm here in Helsinki, it's kind of noisy here sometimes. So when I go to the wilderness and I'm like there, and it's quiet, it's kind of quiet. So I'm like, oh, my ears are resting. But I've always liked nature, and that's something really close to my heart, always been, and especially the animals. And I think that that's really important, that we don't lose that connection with the nature, because that's something that soothes us and gives us relaxation. And if we forget that, then we might get a bit stressed, and that's not so cool. So and also to protect the nature and the woods and the forests, because if we cut down all the forests, then all the sounds of the animals will also die. So we won't hear them. And I don't want to be the last person to have, like, you know, the only sounds left, you know, from those forests. So it's really important to protect the forest and the sounds in the forest as well.
Was it difficult to find the right wood to resonate with the sound?
Well, yeah, kind of, because I didn't really know whether the wood will resonate. But it was part of the process, because first I had it on glass, like the actuators, I had them on glass, and then it kind of went towards the wood. But there was this one process that I haven't told about. It's I made a work with this architect student, and we went to Hapitaare, and we actually came second in the design competition. So he made this log house, and he wanted a sound design there. So we figured, okay, we put the sound actuators inside the wood, and it started. I was like, oh, I don't know if if I can make the wood, if it will work with the sound.
Yeah.
But then it was so easy, and it sounded amazing. And then I was able to make that whole house, little small house, where you could go in, and I was able to make the entire house, play with the sounds. And when you pressed your ear against the wood, you could hear the sound go around, and it was vibrating, the floor was shaking and stuff. So it was pretty cool, and I was like, oh wow, I can make wood with sound, and that's where it started. And then I wanted something that you could hug and touch and stuff like that, so it developed from that. So
okay.
And there's also a video on my website about it if someone is interested. It's called House of Sleep. So
And you were talking in your seminar about generative sound design. So can you shortly tell us what is generative sound? What is the difference?
Well, the generative sound, I call it always changing or ever changing. What it means that there's more variation in the sound. So it's not just that you pick one sound and put it in your game and that's it. But there's you have to design it, how the sound behaves with the interaction, and also if there's all the time variation and different textures in the sound. So then it becomes sounding more realistic in a way that it's more real to the listener. Not necessarily realistic like reality, but realistic to the listener, that the listener won't start pay attention. Okay, I've heard this sound 100 times already, so annoying, irritating, let's mute. So that's something that I want the game designers and the companies to concentrate more, that the sound is such a powerful tool in the experience. So that's something to take into account, that with the variation and different kinds of sound, you're able to create much more powerful experience to the gamer, and that could be really a game changer in a way, that whether someone buys your game or not.
And if I understood right, in your work of art that is going to be in the competition, you also changed the generativeness in it.
Yes, there's going to be, it's already quite generative, but there's going to be more generativeness in the future. Now I'm just going to put some more better sounds and try to time it somehow and make it even more flexible. But I'm doing it in a way that I want that the people are so engaged that they spend a lot of time just sitting there and watching and touching the wood, and then just listening and relaxing. So that's my aim, and I think that without the generative sound design, I will not be able to achieve that. When people are when they hear it once, they don't want to hear it twice.
Yeah, that's true.
So then they just leave. And that's not something that I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for it to get a longer experience, that you will be able to enjoy your time for longer. And then that would, I just want to stop the people a little bit. We are so hectic in our lives that, you should just, stop for a while. Just listen.
So I was wondering, are you making it actually more realistic when you're doing it more generative?
In this context, yes, because I'm trying to imitate the sounds of the nature. Because everyday life, even that we hear speaking, all the sounds that you're hearing, they're all the time different, right? you're not going to hear that sound again, that same exactly sound. So we are living in a generative sound design world already.
Yeah.
So that's something that, like, I try to explain that, you know, you can't, it's not natural that you would hear the same sound twice, right? I'm like trying to explain that if you hear the same sound twice, yes, but the texture of the sound is different every time. So it's not really the same sound, but if, you know, if you understand what I mean. I hope the listeners are also understanding what I'm talking about. Oh, she's crazy.
No. I actually, I understand pretty well. And I was wondering when you were talking in your seminar that why wouldn't we use generative sound? What would be the reason?
Well, I think that one of the biggest reasons is money.
Of course.
Because, you know, the sound always comes in the budget, like the lid, oh, we need a sound guy. Do we really need a sound guy? And then, you know, and that's really a shame because I know that we can't see the sound. So it's not like something, it's really abstract. So but you know, it's such a powerful tool. Like sound, always when we hear the sound, it affects our emotions directly. But when we see something, it stays right there. You cannot really, it's not really coming close to you, is it? But the sound, it comes and it goes through our bodies because you can feel the vibrations. So it's and then you have these emotional impacts on everything. So it's a really powerful tool, and I hope that all the people would understand that how powerful it really is.
Yes. And I was wondering when you talked about your research, where you had these two groups that were listening to your sound design for the same picture.
Yeah, the game. Yeah.
Yeah, for the game. And in the first one it was not so generative, and in the second one it was.
Yeah.
And a few of them found the generative more intimidating.
Yeah.
And, I found it really interesting because I think it's doing something to your emotions and feelings.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's really interesting, and that's something that I would like to research a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I was talking about. That, you know. Those people that felt that it was a bit intimidating, those were not really gamers, and they had their emotions really, you know, high. Like they were not used to games. So that was really, you know, that was like gold to me in the research, because then I was able to, you know, like, wow, like that person is feeling it like that.
Yeah.
Because they were not, you know, gamers are so used to like good sound and stuff like that. So it was really nice to make the games so that there was just normal, regular people trying it out. So to find out all those things. And what I also noticed that there were 3 people who didn't recognize any difference between those two. So it was really interesting because those were the youngest and the oldest. So I was like, why is that? Like, is it because we are like, what's happening? Like, how do we have like different, like, you know, the youngest and the older people, they didn't hear the differences. Is it because of I don't know, is it
because of the age
or is it like, you know, our feelings, or is it, but I don't know, I have no idea. So these are really interesting questions and leaves a lot of open questions for future research, definitely.
Yeah. And you were talking about that you always need another pair of ears to hear your sound design. So do you have like one person that you're always showing your sounds?
No, of course. Everyone around me, you know, all my friends and my family and my husband. He's the one who was always, you know, the first one to be in the pain situation. But, you know, definitely. You have to, like, whatever you're doing, if you're doing it alone, always show it to someone. You know, before you put it out there, because you get that, you know, the feedback of how it sounds like. It's really important. You might like it's a saying that you get blind to your own work. It's the same, you get deaf, you know, for your own work with the sound as well. So you have to play it out to someone, you know, and hear their opinion about it. So then you can go and then you can start, you know, do changes, like, and that's how the development goes. So as I had with the installation, I always ask the people, so how does it feel to, you know, listen to this? What's your experience? Do you like it? Or what's not, you know, correct to you? Or so on. And then I do the changes, you know. So mainly, like, until this moment, I've noticed that some people are really sensitive on the volume levels.
Okay.
So that's something that I always have to take into consideration. How loud am I playing something?
Yeah. So can you ruin a game with a bad sound design?
Of course you can. And with a bad picture as well. But you know, I think that with really good sounds, you're able to, if your picture and your graphics are not that good or something, with really good sound, you're able to, you know, save your game, and vice versa as well. But I would say that if you have really bad sounds, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you have like cool graphics or something, and then like the sound is really poor, well, I would say that doesn't just work, you know. That you have to have like this harmony between those two. They support each other, so that has to be in harmony. So, you know, some sound designers say that when the work has, you know, good sounds, people won't notice it. But you know, I've talked to many game sound designers now, and I would like to say that if there's a really good sound, really good music, then that's something also worth of noticing. So I think that that's a good thing if people are saying like, wow, that game was sounding like so cool, like it was so cool game, good music, and I want to play it again. So I think that maybe the sound people are just so humble that they don't want to say, you know, that they would want any glory about that, you know. But I think that there should, you know, you have to always strive for the best, like, end result anyway.
So what is the biggest mistake you can do to ruin a game with the sound? Is there something like really?
Well, the quality, if you don't clean up your sounds, you know, if you have too much frequencies, you know, you have multiple sounds and they all, you know, you don't clean them up, you have like a big mess because you hear there's so many frequencies, so that the sounds are eating themselves, you know. You know, they're covering, there's going to be like this effect that other sounds will cover other sounds, and you know, you can't really tell, there's no clarity, you can't really tell what's coming from where, and you know, that's probably the first mistake, because when they you know, save up and they don't, you know, hire the sound guy, so then they just, you know, take sounds from a sound library and they just push it into the game like this, and nobody does anything to the sounds, you know, so you can't really tell what frequencies are there. So, you know, it might come up as a big mess. So I think that's the first thing to do.
And how much do the players believe in your sound design? Or, I mean, can you put like almost anything there? Or what is the boundary that they are not believing that these sounds come from this?
Well, of course the sounds have to fit the context and the story and the storyline of the game, and whatever you're doing, you always have to be, you know, following the story and trying to find sounds that fit into that world. You can't really put, you know, if you have a fantasy land, you can't really put really realistic sounds to there. You know, they might work, but, you know, or other way around, you have a really realistic world and you're trying to make it really realistic, and then you have like these fairy tale sounds coming there somewhere. So, you know, you gotta find that balance, that what fits with the context, of course. So.
Okay. So you have a lot going on right now.
Yes.
So can you tell us about what you're doing?
Yeah, with the US thing, I have, because it's a really huge thing for me. It's going to be like a life changer for me, and because I want to be like a really like an international artist in the future. So it's going to cost me quite a lot to take the really big heavy wood pieces to USA, to Michigan. So I made this gofundme.com/Kirsi Ihalainen, so please support me for that, so that I get to USA and represent Finland there. That would be, I'm just like, please help me, because otherwise I'm not able to. It's going to cost me a lot to take the wood there. So and it's already in September, so there's not much time. So
yeah, it's really close.
So it's really close, and I have to manage all this. So please go there. And also, I have another thing coming up. I have designed this sound art design product or something like that. It's an art piece that will be revealed at Formex at the end of August. Formex is a design fair in Stockholm in Sweden, and it will be the launch will be there, and it's called Kelo Sound.
Okay.
So if you want to know what it is, unfortunately I can't tell yet what it is. But if you're interested in following me in kellosound.com, so if you want to know what it is, so 24th of August, it's going to be launched in Sweden.
Okay.
So that's coming up. And then I have the solo exhibition coming in December. So beginning of December, I have completely new sound artworks that are related to nature as well, but I won't reveal anything more. But it's coming up, and it will be here in Helsinki, in Arabia, in Galleria Huvila, in the beginning of December. So I have completely new works there, so come there to see. It will be the entire December there. And then there's going to be the exhibition with the nature photographer starting from January onwards, so that will come as well. So with the Finnish forest frequencies, the installation, and then also some extra stuff. So that'll be there from January till March.
Okay.
So in Kuusamo. So
a lot.
So a lot of things, but I'm really, really excited, and it's going to be great and awesome, and I really hope to get to USA.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kirsi, for being here. It has been a pleasure.
And then also, if you want to go to my website, the KirsiIhalainen.com, that would be, so you find all this information there and everything. So if you want to come to the exhibitions and whatever, then go there, and also find the research there as a PDF, so you can find it there as well with the videos and everything.
Yeah, so the viewers, you should really go check KirsiIhalainen.com, and thank you for watching Fireside Chat.